Have you ever taken on 5 armed guards with your hands tied behind your back? Or pulled a woman from a moving helicopter while having a knife lodged in your arm? If this sounds insane, well, it's just a regular day for Jack Reacher. Yes, we've come to the thrilling conclusion of Reacher Season 2, based on the 11th entry in the series, Bad Luck and Trouble. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into Season 2, Shane Langston's plot to sell missiles, and where Reacher could be headed for Season 3. So if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment about what you thought of the season. The events of Season 2 have led us here, the research and development facility owned by aerospace engineering company New Age Technology. A rogue element within the company, Director of Security Shane Langston, has devised a plan to sell cutting-edge surface-to-air missiles worth $65 million to an international arms dealer known simply as AM. And Langston would have gotten away with it if it weren't for former special investigator Tony Swan. You see, when New Age Director of Operations Marlo Burns found out that Shane Langston was hiring all his former police buddies, officers who were under investigation from internal affairs, she hired Tony Swan to do some digging. Tony had previously worked under Jack Reacher as part of the military's Special Investigation Unit, a unit that specialized in military crimes. Throughout the season, we'll see this team come together and implement Operation Kite Runner, a 2-year investigation into military officers smuggling heroin out of Afghanistan. This culminates in Reacher going against direct orders and busting these bad guys anyway, which ends up with him and his soldiers getting discharged. Several years pass and the SIU members go about their lives. That is until Reacher receives a call from former member Francis Neely that several of the team have been deliberately targeted and killed. This is what Season 2 is all about. Who is killing the members of the SIU and why? Reacher's investigation sees him teaming up with what's left of his team, Neely, O'Donnell, and Dixon, and throughout the season's 8-episode span, we uncover an elaborate plan devised by Langston. It all starts with a defense contract given to New Age called Little Wing, a code name for a new anti-missile software technology. Its purpose was completely defensive in nature, to protect commercial aircraft from missiles, but Langston knew this tech could be tweaked into something offensive, into something truly devastating. With the help of Senator Lavoie, funding was buried in an appropriations bill, and New Age got the money it desperately needed. Of course, a company as big as New Age can't be going around selling US-funded missiles to international arms dealers. At least they can't do it without someone noticing, so Langston develops an elaborate plan. Remember that New Age has 2 facilities, one in New York which makes the microchips and one in Colorado which produces the actual missiles. Only when these 2 are combined do the missiles work. So months prior to Langston's deal with AM, he had an engineer purposely manipulate the data on defective chips only to set them aside to be reprogrammed with this illegal weaponized software. This would turn these defensive missiles into portable surface-to-air weapons that could take down anything with 100% accuracy. What makes them particularly effective is that they purposely miss their target at first shot, making the pilot think they dodged it, but the software allows the missiles to reprogram themselves mid-air and attack again. We'll see this at work at the very end when Neely blows up the chopper with the pilot and engineer on board, 2 people who were complicit in the sale of these weapons to terrorists. Langston gets AM, someone not associated with New Age, to steal the missiles while en route from Colorado, allowing Langston to take his tweaked microchips and complete the deal. In exchange for these missiles, Langston would receive $65 million in untraceable bonds, money that would be split with his henchmen and then live out the rest of his days on a beach somewhere. Of course, Reacher won't allow these weapons into the hands of terrorists and must stop Langston before this deal is done. This brings us to the finale where Reacher has agreed to turn himself into Langston so that his captured partners, O'Donnell and Dixon, are kept safe. Reacher and his team have been a thorn in Langston's side the entire season, and by having them under lock and key, Langston hopes to finish his transaction without any further interference. But Reacher has a couple tricks up his sleeve. First, he told Langston that Neely was killed by one of his men last episode, a lie so that she could keep watch over the facility while Reacher went inside. Second, Reacher called in a favor from Senator Lavoie to use 3 of his military units. You might remember these guys as his bodyguards in episode 5. The last thing the senator wants is for his involvement in all this to be uncovered. He didn't think that this tech would eventually end up in the hands of terrorists, thus he gives Reacher his guards to take down Langston. Third, Reacher hid a brass fastener in his shoe which he'll later use to free himself from his cuffs. It isn't long before Langston realizes that Neely is still alive. If he wants to make sure all loose ends are tied, she's gonna have to be killed too, and the only person who knows where she is Reacher. And when Reacher won't tell him, he shows him Tony Swan's eyeball, an eyeball saved for retina scans to access confidential information. Langston was gonna make it look like Tony signed off on all the paperwork, masterminded the whole deal, and ran off with the money. Meanwhile, Dixon and O'Donnell are loaded onto the chopper to meet the same fate their former colleague Calvin Franz, who in episode 1 was thrown out of. Luckily, a combined effort from Neely, Lavoie's team, and Reacher, who used his fastener to break free, sees Reacher making it to the chopper in the nick of time. And it's a good thing he gets there, as he saves Dixon from almost going over. And take a look at how strong Reacher is, holding onto the weight of Dixon and the gurney while a knife is lodged in his arm, getting kicked by Langston and later a 200+ pound dude on his back. It's pretty cool that Dixon's able to release herself from the gurney and pulls the knife out of Reacher's arm to attack. Just some insane action. And Langston receives a most ironic ending, getting thrown from the plane just like he killed the other members of the SIU. But with Langston dead, that still leaves AM and his delivery of missiles. Thankfully, the pilot of the chopper knows the coordinates of Langston's rendezvous with AM, and the team is able to pay him a surprise visit. Now, they give AM a brief moment to explain himself, and the guy has no remorse or guilt for what he does: sell arms to terrorist groups who use them to kill. His rationale is that he's merely the middleman. He's not the one actually pulling the trigger, and you can tell by this that answer isn't going to fly. Both the engineer who put in the chips and the pilot who flew the plane that killed Reacher's teammates beg for their lives, both of them claiming they were just doing their jobs. But these guys both totally knew what they were doing, so Neely demonstrates how one of these $100,000 missiles works. But it wouldn't be a Reacher season without a twist. Turns out Senator Lavoie's agents have orders of their own to kill Reacher and his team to avoid risking one of them talking and exposing the senator. But Reacher is one step ahead. He knew Lavoie would turn on him, thus he called Omar Karim of Homeland Security, the man he talked to in episode 5. Reacher even gets the pleasure of calling Senator Lavoie to tell him the bad news, hearing him get arrested on the other line. Now Reacher tells Karim he has no idea where that money AM was holding on to, and Karim lets this slide. The money, of course, is with Reacher in the form of these untraceable bearer bonds. He'll use it to make up for the pain this whole situation has caused. And there's something nice about season 2 ending at a diner, much like season 1, although I did keep an eye out for a Lee Child cameo. On the television, we can see that Homeland Security has covered up the chopper attack, stating that it was either a malfunction or pilot error. There's even a reference to a Sardovian president passing away, which is a fictitious European country found in Scorpion and Fubar, which Reacher showrunner Nick Santora also worked on. We get a little montage of what Reacher did with this money. Some went to Calvin Franz's wife and child, Russo's nephews, Sanchez's girlfriend, Orozco's sister, Neely's father, and even the local animal shelter got a bunch of cash in honor of Tony Swan's dog. Dixon gets enough money to start her own business, and O'Donnell's kids will never have to worry about paying tuition ever again. But what does Reacher want? Honestly, just a toothbrush. But why would Reacher turn down not only this money, but a woman who loves and cares for him? Remember, he also turned down a relationship with Roscoe in season 1. That's because for Reacher, ultimate freedom is not being tied down, whether that be with money or relationships. And this is something Dixon understands about him. The gang takes a picture mimicking the one they took years ago as members of the SIU. Now there is one thing Reacher did purchase, an annual Trailsway pass that lets him ride anywhere in America as much as he wants. Neely hopes that Reacher knows they're more than just friends, that they're family, but Reacher doesn't acknowledge this. Only when he's across from this old man does he say he's coming from visiting family. While Reacher may have a hard time expressing his feelings, we know deep down he cares about those close to him. But where will next season take us? The finale leaves us with a clean slate. We do know that season 3 has been greenlit, and production of it actually started in the summer in Toronto.
That's right. You're on the set of season 3 of Reacher right now.
Alan Ritchson even posted this photo of him on set, but with the writers and actors strike, production was pushed. Just what Reacher book will be adapted is yet to be known, but there are a whopping 28 to choose from. The The books aren't exactly written in chronological order, so it's possible a new season might take place before the events of season 1 or 2. Anything is possible. But what did you think of Reacher season 2? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like these types of videos, be sure to like and subscribe. I cover all sorts of shows, and I'm now getting into True Detective. Thanks for watching. If you want even more bad takes, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember...
He was stopped by barbecue. He died from trans fats.